Hey, this is India with Bags and Lifestyle. Thank you so much for watching this video. Today we're going to be talking about the quality of Delvaux. I wanted to do a review over this Gin Fizz top handle bag or backpack and just highlight some things that you may want to look into when you are looking for what people call a quality handbag, or qualities that you may want to look for when you are looking for a handbag. So first off, I do want to talk about the piping on this bag. So for me, I particularly prefer bags that have less glazing on it. And so what I'm talking about is this little kind of closure here where it joins the two leather pieces together. So this top part, it does have glazing, but it does have piping on it too. And I absolutely prefer that on bags. So a lot of times, to me at least, I feel like a higher quality bag is crafted when it has the piping on here, because you don't have to worry about these edges cracking. But with companies that do use glazing, there are ways to make high quality glazing and make sure that they are completing it where it's not cracking, so that way you're not running into those issues. But that is my personal preference. But you do want to pay attention to the amount of glazing that's on a bag and whether it does have the history of cracking over a period of time, because then this has to be repaired. I do like the fact that the leather on this handbag is thicker, so I did want to talk about that. You do want to make sure that the thickness of the leather is actually there, and it feels very sturdy, hardy, soft, and supple depending on the style, because there are some bags that have been finished and are made to be more scratch resistant, which means that it's going to be harder because there's a coating on top of it. But for the most part, you do want your leather to feel thick, hardy, soft, yet sturdy and supple at the same time. But I also want to talk about, yes, the piping as well. What you may have heard other people talk about is whether there's scratches. And obviously, if you're buying a new bag, you're not going to end up seeing this. But if you're purchasing something pre-loved, what you do want to pay attention to is, if you can see here where that scratch is, hopefully you can, the camera's picking that up pretty well. But what you're looking for there is, when you see a scratch, what you don't want to see is the underside being a white color. If a handbag is scratched and the leather is nicked like this, and you see a white coating on the underside, that means that the color was painted on top of the bag. So there's a thinner layer when you paint it versus when you dye it. So now that this bag has been nicked or scratched and it's got a kind of lighter shade of the burgundy color showing through, you can see that this leather has been dyed, which takes a longer process to do versus painting a handbag. And when you dye something, obviously it's going to soak in more and be longer wearing versus painting the top portion of the bag or the top skin. Another thing that you want to look at as well is, I'll talk about the hardware first. So hardware is key as well. So this bar here is definitely metal, and I really do like that about the bag. This bar is very heavy. It actually, well, it's not doing it right now, but you can tell it definitely is very heavy. You can see how thick it is. So I can't talk. Feels very thick and hardy. So hardware is of importance too. I do like when luxury brands do their engraving. So on this Delvaux bag, there's engraving on each piece of hardware, which is nice. Now, some brands do that on every piece of hardware and some brands don't. Some brands do it on certain styles. So you'll just have to pay attention to that. But if that's something that is very important to you, definitely pay attention to it. I won't say that it's a bad thing if a brand does not engrave their pieces, but it does add some extra oomph to it, is what I want to say. I don't know how to describe it, but it does elevate it a little more. I will say it does give it a little bit more of an elevation when they take the time to use hardware that is customized to the brand and has the brand logo on it. Now, I'm going to try to turn this around this way. So the other thing that I like about this bag, and I want to talk about, is pieces of quality, is going to be the fact that they took the time to put a leather piece here, so that way this will help make the bag more comfortable to carry by hand. So that is also something. So the small details are the things that really matter as well. And then I will finally open the bag so I can get to the other part that I was talking about. You also want to look at something that is functional, is going to work, and the functional design makes sense. So the thing that I wanted to talk about here is, especially with top flat bags. So this bag is made where it makes it very easy to open it up. It kind of has this kind of accordion style to it. So when I open the top flap, you'll notice that when I pull on the front piece, it's kind of pulling the whole thing out. But the thing that I want to mention here is this little piece here. So you see how they thought about the design of this bag, and they took this little leather lip here and sewed it to a upper portion. So you see a little dip here where there's a little gap right there. You see how that's sewed to the lid, the underside lid of the backpack. That is great attention to detail, as well as functionality, as well as durability, because they left that little gap there. And the reason for that is so that way when you're opening and closing it, this is the main way you're getting into your handbag. And that's important, because if this was glued all the way down or glazed all the way down and attached it here, you're going to end up with a pressure point on this corner here, which is going to make it more likely to crack, as well as more wear and tear to show earlier on when you are attaching the whole thing. And what I'm talking about there, if this also helps as well, I love this Kate Spade bag and I love this Kate Spade wallet, and Kate Spade makes great items. But what I want to say is a design flaw is the fact that they allowed these two pieces. So this is the body of the wallet, and then you see this little piece here on the lid of it. So this flap, notice how it is cracking. Hopefully you can see that. But the glazing here is cracked. You can see that right there in the corner right here. And you can also see it over here. So that's a pressure point, because I'm opening and closing this wallet. And while this wallet is amazing quality and is great, that is a design flaw that definitely showed up a lot earlier because of my use. So that is something that you do want to pay attention to, and it's a nod to Delvaux that they thought about that when they designed this bag, so that way they already created a pressure point to decrease the accelerated wear and tear on the bag. Also, the inside of the bag is lined with suede. I don't know if you can see that from the lighting, but it is lined with suede, which I love. And then I also love the fact that when I look at this bag, I can see where the two leather pieces or multiple leather pieces were joined together, which is nice. So I can see that there are 3 pieces of leather that came together when they decided to make the interior of this bag, so that way it had that accordion fix to it. So I think that is really nice as well. So all that to say, definitely make sure you're paying attention to the details of your bag. I wanted to use this Delvaux piece as an example to point out some of those things, but make sure you're paying attention to that, and make sure you're looking very closely at your bag to make sure that it's going to work, it's going to last. We're investing a lot of money in these handbags, and we want to make sure that it's going to stand the test of time, as well as the amount of wear and use that we plan to get out of it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.